Welcome to GabTalks, where we provide tools, tips, and techniques to help your life and business be easier, better, and faster. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode of GabTalks Success Tips from Experts. It has been our great honor and distinct pleasure to interview these amazing experts and bring them to you. And we hope that you find value in each of these episodes that we have been sharing with you. In this episode, we thought that we would take a moment to review from each of them the question, what book influenced you? Thanks for listening. My friend Sherry Mers.
It started early in my life as an 8-year-old, barely 8-year-old. I was given for Christmas a novel, Little Women, and that started a lifelong love of reading. And by the time I was 13, I wanted to create those worlds that led people into the wonderful different places they could be. Obviously, I didn't live through the Civil War, so Little Women was a new world for me. And later it became science fiction and fantasy and other types of books. But by the time I was 13, I knew I wanted to write books. That did not happen. It didn't happen for about 50 years, which is another story altogether. But the love of reading, the love of the written word was what led me eventually to where I am today.
Denise.
One of the greatest influences, I believe, on our whole family has been the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yep.
It's really an awesome place. If you've never read the book, I highly recommend it because it teaches you, again, a different thinking process between those who are making it work and those who are still struggling just to get a paycheck from someone else.
Mary Greenlee.
My life has been filled with collaborations. I love to facilitate groups and be able to come out with a consensus of where you're going. And I did that one more time for the book that I was talking about, the Life Facts book. I had an understanding with an incident in my life that I did not have all the information that I needed in case of emergency. In fact, I lived that. And so one more time, I put a collaborative group together to solve the problem. Many of them are frontline pros, people who have all the degrees to be able to build it. But then there were also a lot of people on the sidelines who had information that was included in the book that you wouldn't get just from just the professional point of view. They collaborated for 2.5 years and together built the Life Facts book. It is a system that an individual can use to be able to collect their most important information. So when they need it, it's at their fingertips.
Colby Emerine.
As I went through phases of learning, the mentor / influences changed for me. So at the beginning, when it was learning about real estate, it was the Gary Keller, the investor book, right? Like it was all about learning about investors and flipping and in that space. And then as I got in there and learned that, well, really I needed to learn how to sell people, right? Or how to buy houses, how to negotiate. So then I went into all the negotiating books, and there's a laundry list of those, right? The Chris Voss, Grant Cardone, all those books, Cialdini, how to influence people, how to influence and win, how to win friends and influence people. All those books, just constantly absorbing that and getting in that mindset, because I was in a completely different mindset when I started, right? I was in the employee working mindset, and I had to get in this new mindset. So then as that developed over a couple of years, you start building a business, you start building business systems. So then you start looking at different leaders in that industry, right? And so you start reading those books. And so that mentorship / influential has just kind of evolved and changed as I evolved and changed. So I guess to simplify it down, it's whatever you're trying to figure out, whatever skill set that you're trying to master, right now, you need to look and research and get exposure to those people who are doing what you want to do, right? And successful at it, right? Make sure they're successful at it, not just Instagrammed out, right? Make sure that they're really doing what it is. And they don't have to be a big published author. They can be somebody in your community or somebody around that's successful, just doing what you want to do, right?
Alexi Bracy.
The book is authored by Robbins. I can't get his son's name mixed up with the father. And it's a diet for a new America. And so he really put the raw food movement on the map. And so I embraced a raw food lifestyle. 20 some odd years ago, I was a chef at the time. And that's what I really feel catapulted my journey to health, along with other factors. I have since switched to plant-based rather than a raw food, because depending on where you live, when it's minus 20 degrees outside, you want warm food. You don't want to eat, a salad. So definitely a plant-based diet. I support it 150%. You are what you eat. And that says it all.
Cheryl Cobbin.
A book that I keep coming back to, and at first I'll admit was a little hard to understand, was Think and Grow Rich. So even though I've read it numerous times, every time I pull something different out of that. And I think one of the key factors is mindset. That is so important, especially as an entrepreneur. Our thoughts are things, and what we think really does become our reality.
Joel Holt.
And as far as some books that really were influenced my life, that really made a big difference, I will look at some books. The Art of Happiness, extremely powerful book. Buddha Bootcamp, that is something that I read on a daily basis. Ask and it is given, connecting to the law of attraction, and really understand how energetically everything connected and how everything works. This information have made tremendous impact in my life.
Miss Cheryl Boone.
There was a lot of books, and I did get into other fields of business, but as far as health, I really love William Lee's quote, "Eat to live and not live to eat." I mean, so many people, when you think of a smorgasbord, people are going to that smorgasbord or all you can eat. They're living to eat. They're getting a quality price for food to eat, but is that really good for them? It's not. I was given a book written by David Sundall, and it's named The Greens Bible, but it is on food. I mean, and what ingredients, from the plant that we really need to live that helps our body. So I'm always looking to see, what do I need for my immune system? What do I need for my digestive system?
Yeah.
How do I keep from having brain fog? How do I keep my energy? Things like that, which a lot of times people don't think about. I mean, we get into a routine, we eat our meals, and we go on with the day.
Ron Sakinik.
There's a lot of books. Yeah, there's about 150,000 books being published every year.
Yeah.
But I was on an airplane going from Los Angeles to New York, and I fell asleep. I woke up and there was a book. It was called The Master Key System. It was at my head. Somebody left it there for me. I have no idea who did, but here's what it is. His name is Charles Hannell, Hannell. He wrote it, I think, about 1912. And he breaks down the world and life into 26 different parts. But the real premise of the intention of the book is to let people know that you got to be before you can do. You do to the extent of who you are, and who you are is based predominantly on how you think. Mm-hmm. So the key to power, success, accomplishment is method of thinking. See, thinking is a high-level activity. When I speak, when I train, just like you, Gab, you got to get people thinking.
Yeah.
You go to a networking event and you meet them, you shake hands, you pass business cards. You got to get them thinking. They're either thinking or they're not thinking. Thinking creates impact at the point of interaction. So that's another book, Master Key System. Michael Gerber's he's just a very forceful $50,000 speaker. At least that's what he was. He's in his 80s now.
Oh, wow.
So he's kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's still with us. Charles Hannell is not. But there's many books.
Sherry Leopold.
So there's been a lot of people along the way, and I've done a tremendous amount of personal development work, both in reading and listening to other experts and things like that. But a couple that really stand out for me is Mel Robbins is one of them. And I've learned a lot from following her, but reading her books, she's one that really stands out to me a lot. There's some other ones, Marie Forleo. I really love her whole philosophy of everything is figure outable, because that really aligns with my belief in that we are never without choices. And because it doesn't matter what happens, we can figure it out. We'll figure out some way to cope or deal with what is. So I really align with Marie Forleo as well.
John.
Well, I mean, I think we all kind of 2020, right? Some of the good that came out of it was that our eyes were opened up, right? Blinders were removed, and you know, of course, there's Judy Heumann, and like she's my, she's my Oprah as it relates to just learning. You know, I listen to her podcast, and she just wrote a new book, and learning about the accessibility and why it's important. And so it's interesting. There's not a lot. There's really not a lot of heroes in that space that are well or widely known. And thankfully, we have Judy, who has been leading that march since 45 years ago is when the sit-ins happened for the ADA laws. So, isn't that long ago.
So my first mentor, I normally say, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki's book kind of started helping me understand that there's something more than just, receiving money and spending money that was happening here. Then I moved on to Jen Sincero, the Badass series, and she kind of put a different flavor in regards to, money mindset and so forth. And as I was developing my money mindset, I then went into the Lucky Bee series by Dennis Duffel Thomas, and she kind of put another layer. So everything was layered. And that's one thing that I want to share with the listeners, that when it comes to money mindset, it is not a one-trick pony. You don't just do it once and it's done. It's something that you have to keep working on. Every ceiling that you hit, it's deeper the roots that you have to pull out when it comes to your money. So that's why I could go on in regards to the mentors and people that have been in my life and in my business, but I'll just start with the first three that really hit me and got me into this journey.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. We hope you got value today. We want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to our contributors. Please make sure you click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to click the bell up above to get reminders when we add new content.